Starlight, Star Bright, won't you help with the ratings of my photos tonight? I'm going to show you how I use the star ratings in Lightroom to help with the organization of my photos. Let's get right to it. I've just imported these and now I've got to do something with them. So let's go ahead first and narrow down what we actually want to spend time on and work on. This is the beginning of workflow overall. I have another video that you can check out linked in the description down below that will bring you a little bit more insight into workflow and what it is. But overall, I need to whittle down all of the pictures I've taken to find out what's really worth spending time on. Now the way that I personally use stars, let's walk through the rating system. 1 star, I want to look a little closer at it. 2 stars, I want to bring that possibly into editing. 3 stars, I've edited that image. 4 stars, that's an image I want to show people. I'm really proud of that. 5 stars, National Geographic comes knocking on that door. I say, show me those 5 stars. There might be a dozen 5-star images that I have in the over 80,000 pictures in my catalog. So when it comes down to it, 4 stars is pretty much the epitome rating for most images for me. It means that I'm proud of that and that I want to show that image to people. I'm in my grid view in my library, or the thumbnail view as others might call it. If you're not in this, if you're looking at a single picture in something like loop view, you may want to hit G for your shortcut, or down to the bottom corner here, hit that grid and it'll bring you back out to here. I'm looking through here and I'm going to rate these images. It's going to allow me to go through and choose things that I want to look at maybe a little more closely and things that I actually want to go in and edit and set kind of a progress for myself through these images. So I use the stars to do that. There's a couple ways you can apply stars. I can tap on the image and then I can hit a number corresponding to 1 through 5, the amount of stars that I want. 1, 2, and you see the star down here popping up in the bottom. Now, if I don't have stars there, you notice there's the little dots. I can click on there. It'll apply the star. If you don't see the dots down there all the time, that's just a menu setting in your preferences to leave it visible. There's probably going to be dots that will show up when you hover over that image, and that's going to be where you then click on it to correspond. Other ways to do this, and this is probably the way that I like to do this the most with a lot of images, there's a spray can you can use to apply these. Down here on the toolbar, you see the spray can, and when you click on that, it becomes your cursor. To the side, the first time you open it, it'll say keywords. We're going to change that to rating, and then we're going to set it to 1 star. Once you have 1 star set on there, you can then spray on the photograph, not the actual frame, but the picture itself, and it'll apply that 1 star rating then in that instance. So when we walk through here, my 1 star, these first ones don't really do much for me. I keep going down here. Flea market, yeah, not really anything interesting. These night shots are when we start to get something interesting. This was about a 1/2 second to a 2 second exposure that I was varying, so people were moving in these shots, and I want to maybe look closer at some. So I'm going to take the spray can and apply to the center of the image. 1 star. Let's look at that one a little closer. A little different composition. Let's try that one. You see the person kind of ghosted across here. Let's look at that one a little closer. Now remember, if I don't want to use the spray can, let me put that back and I'll show you another option here. Now this is the selected image. You can see that lighter gray border around this photograph. That means when I hit 1, it applies it to just that image. Of this one and the leading line of this is a nice catching one. Let's see though, with a bit of the top in these 3. I'm going to hold down Command and hit each one of these. Now you see all 4 of these are all selected. I can hit 1 star. All of them now have the 1 on it. I'm just going to go through a little more rapidly here, and it's kind of a cool shot. Let's look at that a little bit closer. Let's take a peek at that closer with the moon up there. It doesn't really do it for me with the flowers. Now these shots, this was one where I saw the moon up high, I saw the shadow coming off of the cone, and the way these cones led into the people looking over the view. So I took a myriad of shots, and I'm trying to figure out which one's going to look the best. I'm going to go through and I'm actually going to Select most of these little guys here. And then when we look at them in full screen, before we choose 2 stars on them, that's going to allow us to actually select which one we want to look at. Now there's going to be occasionally pictures that jump off the page, the ones you know you're going to want to edit. That gets a 2-star right off the bat for me. There's no question, so why waste the time in the 2-star selection period? Now that I've whittled down my stars here, I've got 1 star on these. When you're in the grid view, you have the option to filter. So on this top up here, you see filters off. If you don't see that, go ahead and hit the backslash key right above your return or enter key. Odds are pretty good that shortcut was hit and it hid that. When you hit that key, it'll bring her back out. And then when you choose the filters, we're going to choose rated. And now it only shows us those ones that we've put 1 star on. It already whittled them down for us. Now let's keep going down and zoom in on these. Looking at that one closer, kind of a funny shot, but a little blurry, so I'm going to get rid of. Not going to take that to 2. These are all kind of cool now that I see them in full frame. This one does look a little overexposed in the sunset, though, relative to that one. I'm going to go ahead and hit 2 stars on that. I also like the motion in the center 2 people where everybody else looks still. I'm going to hit number 2 on the keyboard and it'll change it. It's just my preference. If you prefer, though, you could also just click 2 stars on the toolbar down below. The person moving through that kind of ghostly is kind of cool, but the rest of it doesn't do a lot for me, so I'm going to keep going. That's kind of cool where he's just there. People? No people. Let's go no people in this shot. Now here was the one where there were slight variations. I can really kind of look closely now and see exactly which one of these has what I'm looking for. I kind of like the way the person's sitting in the background there at the end of these cones. If we zoom in, we can see her kind of leaning over here, taking a picture. Everybody's fairly still. That might be a fun one to work with. Let's see what this looks like too. Now, this does take a little bit of time, but it's something that is going to save a lot of time in the long run. I kind of like that one. Let's just work with that in the meantime. Now I'm going to hit G to get back to my grid view. And I'm just going to go up and tell it, rate 2 stars. And now it's brought it down to just the 2-star images. Now I'm not going to go through and really do a really big develop, but I'm going to pull this just briefly into develop. Do a couple things on here to maybe signify it's been developed. Alright, now there's a develop happened here, so I'm going to go back to that image and I'm going to hit 3 stars on that. Alright, I've done that one. Now let's go ahead and maybe do a quick edit to this one. Maybe drop in that, bring it. Alright, now I have 2 that have been edited. The other 3 we'll maybe get back to later, but at this point, those are the only ones that I've worked with. Let's go to 3. Man, this one's a really great shot. It's one that I'm definitely going to go and I'm going to show people. Let's hit 4 on that one. I'm just hitting the numeric numbers. It's the quickest way for me to move through this, and for me, the most comfortable way to do it. So by hitting 4, it now corresponds with 4 stars. So when people are like, oh, I heard you went out to Griffith the other night and did some shooting, I can say, yeah, let me show you the pictures. And when I say 4 star, it just whittles down to the images that I've deemed worthy to show from that. For more on filters and the things you can do with those and how to whittle down and how to find imagery, that's something that you can see in another episode linked below. That's it with ratings. At least how I use ratings in Lightroom. Now remember, I'm using 1 star because I want to look more closely. 2 stars because I maybe want to go edit that image. 3 stars means I've actually edited the image. 4 means not only have I edited it, but that's an image I'm proud of and I want to show to people. And 5 stars is that National Geographic comes knocking on my door. Oh, bring out those best pictures I have ever taken. Now, there are other ways to filter things, especially when it comes to finding things down the road. Keywords being one of those. So make sure to subscribe, make sure to hit the notification bell, so in the next episode for keywords, you know exactly how to use that. Thanks for sticking around for the Lightroom Whisperer.